with nothing else to do. I love you of
Hi everybody,
but I'd rather
day 19, quarantine history. It's Friday. I like to be quick on Friday. Yesterday we did William Lloyd Garrison. Man, fantastic. Can't argue with it, right? You can't argue with it. It's Americans who encourage slaves to rebel, and we do it every 4th of July. When we're talking about abolitionists, and their biggest stumbling block is they really can't agree on who, where, what. They just all kind of think that they're just all going to fight that slavery's wrong and these people shouldn't be enslaved anymore. In 1833, you get the American Anti-Slavery Society. These people were going to start to spread literature through the North and the Midwest. This kind of stuff, this literature will start to be illegal. You can get in trouble and arrested for it in the southern states. And they're going to start to petition Congress to end slavery on a regular basis. And if you go back to the Bill of Rights, you know, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom to assemble, freedom of the press, right? Freedom to petition the government. It's one of the things that you're guaranteed. I will tell you that the United States government, and I think maybe later here in the slides, the United States government, Congress is actually going to pass a gag order. Congress is going to make it illegal for anyone to even bring up the slavery issue and any kind of laws or bills or anything that would do anything at all to potentially grant any kind of freedom to these people. And so it's clearly a violation of our citizens' First Amendment rights, but people didn't care. The most important people, and there will be a lot of them, but the most important people to fight back against slavery, and some of the most effective abolitionists, will be for the former slaves themselves. And none of those former slaves turned abolitionists, none of them becomes more influential and more popular and does more to free the slaves than Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass escaped from slavery when he was 20, escaped from Maryland. He learned to read and write as a kid, and he's going to move to Massachusetts. He'll actually initially, I'm not sure what's next, he'll initially work for William Lloyd Garrison. He'll give a speech, and people are like shocked that this African man, former slave, is so well spoken and educated and smart, and you know it disembowels, it destroys any claims these people aren't capable of these kind of things. He'll initially work for William Lloyd Garrison, and he'll write for William Lloyd Garrison in The Liberator, and then eventually he's going to break away on his own. He's going to start to make a name for himself, and he is a former slave, and so there's a bounty on his head to return him. And for a while there, he will leave the United States and go and tour Europe. And while in Europe, he'll raise enough money to buy his own freedom, so that he can return to the United States and not have to worry about being hunted down by a bounty hunter and return to slavery in the South. Because, I mean, let's face it, you have a slave who's escaped, who's telling all these people these horrible things. I mean, you know, he's the, lack of a better word, he's the poster child for abolition, and to have gotten him back into slavery and chained him to a plow would have really sent a message to a lot of people. So obviously he fears for his life. He goes to Europe, he speaks there, he raises money, and eventually his freedom is bought. He returns to the United States. When he returns, he's going to start his own newspaper called the North Star. That is on the test. It's a multiple choice question. You know, him and William Lloyd Garrison were friends for a while, but as far as Frederick Douglass, he's starting to become confident and stuff, and he's starting to see that things are not really moving at the rate that he wishes they would, and so he's going to go out on his own essentially, and you know, his tone will change a little bit. He's a little bit about whatever it takes. I mean, if it means violence for them to get their freedom, then so be it. I'm gonna have you, and I'm gonna have someone else read it. I'm gonna put a document up on the screen. You can find that document in your resource folder in the vision thing. Frederick Douglass is asked to give a speech to a bunch of white people, to a bunch of abolitionists on the 4th of July, the day that America celebrates its freedom from slavery through violence. And it's pretty powerful. There will be a real small assignment with it afterwards. I'm going to put it on the screen, but I'm going to let somebody else read it. I'm going to let Daniel Glover, who's a relatively famous actor, read it. If you would like to watch him read it, there's a link. If you go to the resource page and the 4th of July speech, there's a link on that page too. You could watch it yourself, or you could just sit here and watch it now. But I'm going to pop that on the screen for you here in a second. I'm going to let Danny Glover read it, and then I'll be right back.
Frederick Douglass, former slave, editor of the abolition newspaper, the North Star, was asked to give a speech in 1852 in Rochester on the 4th of July.
Mr. President, friends and fellow citizens, he who could address this audience without a quailing sensation has stronger nerves than I have. I do not remember ever to have appeared as a speaker before an assembly more shrinkingly, nor with greater distrust of my ability than I do this day. A feeling has crept over me quite unfavorably to the exercise of my limited powers of speech. Fellow citizens, pardon me. Allow me to ask, why am I called upon to speak here today? What have I or those I represent to do with your national independence? Are the great principles of political freedom and the natural justice embodied in the Declaration of Independence extended to us? And am I therefore called upon to bring our humble offering to the national altar and to confess the benefits and express devout gratitude for the blessings resulting from your independence to us? Would to God, both for your sake and ours, that an affirmative answer could be truthfully returned to these questions. Then would my task be light and my burden easy and delightful. But such is not the state of the case. I say it with a sad sense of disparity between us. I am not included within the pale of this glorious anniversary. Your high independence only reveals the immeasurable distance between us. The blessings in which you this day rejoice are not enjoyed in common. The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and independence bequeathed by your fathers is shared by you, not by me. The sunlight that brought light and healing to you has brought stripes and death to me. This 4th of July is yours, not mine. At a time like this, scorching irony, not convincing argument is needed. Oh, had I the ability and could reach the nation's ear, I would today pour out a fiery stream of biting ridicule, blasting reproach, withering sarcasm, and stern rebuke. For it is not light that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened The conscience of the nation must be roused. The propriety of the nation must be startled. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed, and his crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced. What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days in the year the gross injustice and cruelty in which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham, your boasted liberty an unholy license, your national greatness swelling vanity, your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless, your denunciation of tyrants, brass-fronted impudence, your shouts of liberty and quality, hollow mockery, your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parade and solemnity, are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy. A thin veil to cover up crimes which would disgrace a nation of savages. There is not a nation on the earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of the United States at this very hour. Go where you may, search where you will, roam through all the monarchies and despots of the old world. Travel through South America, search out every abuse, and when you have found the last, lay your facts by the side of the everyday practices of this nation, and you will say with me that for revolting barbarity and shameless hypocrisy, America reigns without a rival.
All right, welcome back. So that was Danny Glover. What'd you think? Pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. You can only imagine what people sitting there in the audience were thinking. Obviously, you bring this guy in to make this speech about how, 4th of July, how great America is, and we're free, and this and that. And I think he kind of turned the tables on everyone and put everyone on their heads with this speech. Real fast, it won't take 5-10 minutes. I got a quick assignment for you there. If you go to the division folder, I'll just label it Frederick Douglass, and that's it. We're almost done with the unit. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. Hope everyone in your family is well, and I'll see you here next week, which will be day 20 of this. All right, man, guys, girls. All right, everybody. Hope you're well. See you.
Standing on the moon with nothing